2017, Kenya is actually in an election year. And once again, the atmosphere in the country is getting gradually electrified by political players through the various discourses being generated. However, 2012 is certainly not just another election year in the history of this great nation. And that is precisely why the key question in this conference aptly seeks to establish the extent to which Kenya is prepared to embrace changes envisioned in the new constitution following the forthcoming elections later this year. I'm particularly, therefore, pleased and privileged to participate in the discourse set out by this timely conference. The year 2012 hosts a general election under a groundbreaking and decisively transformative constitution. Notably, the current constitution is not an imposition of the will of an aristocracy on a hapless citizenry. In fact, our constitution now is, by and large, an expression of the will of Kenyans and a solemn statement of intent of the shared destiny we all look forward to. Our constitution, ladies and gentlemen, can no longer point towards a business-as-usual political order informed by a past we have decisively broken away from. Of course, we also own all of that past, but we have taken a very clear decision to move on. Neither can the current constitution presuppose the installation of the next generation of leaders wedded to mere populism and entirely disconnected from or insensitive to the impeding and imminent changes in our governance and our political architecture. Do not also forget that this is a key political transition election. I therefore fully agree with a school of thought that advocates for very thorough pre-election voter education coordinated nationally and in good time by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. And I think His Grace has come up very strongly on the need for continuous voter education. My advice is that the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission injects fresh creativity during the next round of pre-election civic education to avoid voter indifference that could deny civic educators the chance to expound on the new political and governance order Kenya is headed for. Similarly, I support the view that such aspects as devolution should be accorded deeper and serious engagement with the public. If we fail to substantiate what devolution entails early enough, we risk causing apathy among citizens who could be expecting an automatic utopia come 2013. This is the right time to urge responsibility and duty-bound commitment to the installation of a new order among all Kenyans. The broad composition of key speakers and resource persons in this conference leaves no doubt in my mind that between today and tomorrow, participants gathered here can, if they purpose to, change the course of our country's history. With faith-based organizations present, governance experts, the civil society, captains of Agenda 4 commissions, academics, politicians, media experts, and an array of other significant thought leaders, we should not go wrong in getting our act together. In my view, there cannot possibly be a better forum to address our deepest concerns, our fears, misgivings, and expectations regarding 2012 elections. Since you'll address most of these issues one by one under the oversight of sector experts, allow me to address just one among them in brief, the 2007-2008 post-election debacle. As a nation, we have remained engaged in the undying debate on the 2007-2008 post-election eventualities, detours and afflictions, without asking some hard questions that we need to confront now or never. We have apportioned blame and traded accusations for close to 5 years now over the violence, but hardly addressed what, in my view, is a fundamental concern that we must look at right straight in the eye. Why did the post-election violence happen? Because some politicians Faith-based organizations, the media, and the civil society sowed seeds of discord, dissension, and disharmony among Kenyans. Could that be the reason? I pose it to you. In my view, that precisely was the problem. My question is, did we learn our lesson, and have we resolved to keep the bounds of decency and focus exclusively on greater national goals, not the self, come the next elections? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm reliably informed that according to a study on whose premise the topics of this conference are based, a significant 80% of our people will vote in the 2012 general elections. Very, very interesting. That is a wonderful finding, and that's why I've always myself a difficulty with these are the very unscientific findings, and which were started by Mr. Stedman that time, and now I think we have others who have changed the name to Sinovate and others. I think they should come to this center and know how to conduct a proper opinion polling. I am also told that the most influential factor, standing at 78.6% in the voters' choice of candidate, will be party or candidate manifestos. Other factors include level of education at 63.3%, choice of political party at 46%, and choice of party leader at 46.8%. I'm also curiously drawn by the study's results that indicate that only less than a half of our population believes that faith, and this is important, as in subscribing to religious convictions, is significant in our public life. My concern is what must be done for our people to return to faith, and not just faith, but the faith that compels the conscience to look out our bigotry, corruption, disregard for civility, and so on. I also note that though 61.9% of Kenyans rate the media highly, they nevertheless question the reliability of vernacular media in fostering peace and reconciliation, particularly during political campaigns. This conference should give recommendations on how to correct this anomaly, and that is not an easy one, because I can tell you these vernacular radio stations are very popular with the Kenyans. As I conclude, ladies and gentlemen, may I reiterate that the 2012 elections should be what Kenyans make them, but not without prior work done to avert trouble. This conference, therefore, must encourage discourse that moves us forward, not one that dwells on a long-gone past and its woes, whichever they may be. I'm sure that you may have forgotten, most of you, that I was actually on a trail. I became a trailblazer, saying that we as a country need to get our country back. This country belongs to us. I think it is the Irish that want to give you a blessing. They say, your own destiny is in the palm of your hands. It can never be said that the outside world will come and teach us how to live. Therefore, we must really, and the first mistake we made as Parliament was to say, don't be vague, go to The Hague. Now, these were members, and I think those vernacular stations were very active. And I thought we had all agreed, and I recall the President and myself and the Prime Minister were there voting for a local mechanism. And those radio stations says, don't be vague, go to The Hague. Now, The Hague came. And this Hague, I want to say, from the bottom of my heart, should not cause apprehension in our country. I want to urge restraint. It is, in my view, unfortunate that we can even anticipate what the ruling of the judges will be and begin to cause confusion. It's so painful. It's so hurting. I went out there believing, and I said that we want our country back. I still hold that view. It is not to say that I'm not mindful of the fact that we lost 1,133 or 331 Kenyans, I forget the exact figure, and that we had 650,000 of our people living today, a lot of them still living as IDPs. The only comfort I got this afternoon was when His Grace said we are all IDPs on earth. But while we are here and superintending over the affairs of this nation, it is our business to make sure that Kenyans go home, live at home, whatever they call home, whether rich or poor, they're entitled to that sense of dignity. I'm not less mindful of that very important thing. Clearly, I tell you that I'm very optimistic about the next election. Your Grace, your Bishop, I want you to look at me, and I look at you, and I affirm to you, in the name of God the Most High, this country will stand. This country is going to know peace. This country is going to have a very peaceful election. And those causing distortion, confusion, will be identified, isolated. And the rest of us will move forward. It is now my pleasure, great pleasure, to declare this conference officially open. And I wish you truly fruitful deliberation. Thank you and God bless you.